Today I have quite an interesting story for everyone. I met a guy who's online, he's got his own channel, but he's given me permission to share his videos and thoughts with the world. And it's a man who's been alienated from his son. In fact, he hasn't seen his son for over 2 years. And she's disappeared and nobody knows where she is. And nobody's interested in finding out where she is. And all this guy wants to do is make contact with his son. There's never been any violence or nastiness between them. Everything I've seen is documented by paper, court hearings, everything else. So I'm going to put a video together. I think I have close to 150 short videos that he's made. So I'm going to release these to you guys. So I'm going to let you have a look and you can give me your thoughts on the situation, how perhaps it could be best overcome. And it's just a really good example of how the court system has been abused, the father's been abused, and the family court system has just been manipulated in such a way that this man has now totally lost contact with his son through no fault of his own. He followed the court orders to the letter.
Let's talk about money. And I'll tell you why I'm going to talk about money, because the courts will use it against you either way. Let me tell you this. If you're a daddy that's given nothing to your son, or the mother of your son, and you've just disappeared, that will be brought up in court and used against you, obviously. But if you're a daddy that's given everything to your son, and everything to his mother, that will also be used against you. And when I tell you that the courts are broken, this is a prime example. I'm a believer that a real man doesn't just look after his children, he looks after the mother of his children. I've always believed if the mother's happy, then your children will be happy. Fantastic. Now what you also don't know is me and my son's mother were engaged till 2014. My son was born in 2012. We had an amazing life. In 2015, I walked in one day and she said my anxiety's up to here. She's never worked a day in her life. She's never been asked to work a day in life. All I've ever asked her to be is an amazing mum, as I was an amazing dad. I said, I don't know what you're anxious about. But the people that understand anxiety understand that people that suffer anxiety is a very difficult disease. But anyway, this is what we decided. I said, look, why don't we do this? Why don't I get a place up the road? She actually chose the apartment. I'll chill out there 6 months and I'll come back. You have 6 months just to be well and healthy. And then I'll come back, we'll crack on with life. I'm still there 7.5 years later. The point is, she chose the apartment. We even did the 2-house thing. We never told my son we'd split up at all. We just said, we like it, we got 2 houses. It's a book you can buy. Anyway, it's about positivity. My son's never thought anything else, but he's got an amazing mummy and daddy. So let's talk about money. Even when I split up with my son's mother in 2014, she stayed with my son in the house that we were living at. Now that house is owned by one of the dads at my son's private school. And he let me have this £1 million home that should be rented out at £4G a month for really good, because he loved us as a family. £2,000 and odd a month. They stayed in that house. On top of that, I paid all the bills and have done right up to April the 15th, 2022. So let's just put that down to a G. So there's already 3.5G a month. On top of that, I gave her 1,200 quid a month just to enjoy her life and and so she can do her coffee mornings and her hair and her nails that all ladies want to do, because she's a mother of my son. So all up to 4,700. On top of that, she always had a new car every 3 years lease, so there's another 400 quid a month, already up to 6-1. And on top of that, I have my son's school fees, which were around 1,500 quid a month. So 7.5 grand a month recurring for 10 years. And I paid that happily. And do you know why? I woke up every morning with a reason to wake up. I've got to look after my son and his mother. And that's what I got up for every day for 10 years. And that's why I earn money. You know, old Bosch, the market is basically what I do. I buy and sell. And you know, that was used against me in court as financial control. That's how it's worded. That's what she said. I financially controlled her, when in fact she's taken every single penny of that for 10 years. Never said a word, never looked for a job, never queried nothing, and now she's mentioned it. And so I'm just letting you know, as a daddy that couldn't have done any more for not only his son, but the mother of his son, to do what she's done is not only cruel, it's totally heartless. Totally heartless. Now, I never ever put anyone down. You'll notice in my videos, I still, to this day, would never put down the mother of my son on a date. But the reality is, what she's done since April 15th is so cruel and so heartless to a wonderful, beautiful daddy who was her very best friend right up to April the 15th, 2022. And as you see by the text messages on a previous video, right up to that date, we had 10 years of messages exactly the same for the positivity. So it's a real shame, but I couldn't have done any more.